Young ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all. Once again, you are welcome here on the Tribune of Awakening Consciousness. So, this is the headline of international news. Global news is dominated by this rare, highly anticipated announcement that has just been made by the Senegalese president, Bassirou Diomaye Faye. Yes, sovereign Africa is very happy. The joy is immense to hear this. Very, very good news, and I ask you in turn to share it as much as possible. Share this very good news in all possible groups. Put a lot of heart into it for Senegal. Put a lot of heart into it for the President Bassirou Diomaye Faye. Yes, if at one point in history we thought and observed that they were betraying Pan-Africanism, we are gradually seeing that they are returning to better Pan-African sentiments. And after a year in power, they have understood the workings of power. They have understood everything. During the 65th anniversary of Senegal's independence, Bassirou Diomaye Faye gave a speech. In this speech, where he addressed various aspects of the political and socio-economic life of the Senegalese nation, he touched on a point that marks a decisive turning point in Senegal's history. A point that leaves France inconsolable, that leaves ECOWAS inconsolable, is the announcement of Senegal's imminent exit from the CFA franc. Yes, he made the announcement. But the Senegalese president wanted to be very realistic. He was very realistic. He did not get caught up in what one might call emotions. He did not get caught up in a dimension, I don't even know how to describe it, a surreal dimension. He placed himself in a dimension that is realistic, logical. He is different. The three proposals he highlighted, which he regretted, the first two proposals demonstrate sufficiently. How many times? The Senegalese government took the time to thoroughly consider the issue before addressing it. And that is what we ask of all our governments. Young ladies and gentlemen, in the context of this video conference, this is of course what we are going to discuss. But you know the procedure as usual. Please agree to share the video conference as much as possible. Especially give a lot of likes. Yes. And above all, don't forget to leave a comment. Leaving a comment gives weight to the video conference. And all those who are not yet subscribed, please subscribe and activate the notification bell. Let's go. Let's dive into the depths. The Senegalese president, Bassirou Diomaye Faye spoke. He clearly stated that all countries in the world have three means to finance themselves. Either it's taxation, or it's debt, or it's the national currency. He says, but we, Senegalese, we hold the other two. And the other two don't suit us too well. Taxation, yes, customs duties, etc. Debt as well, it doesn't suit us too well. He says, but the worst case is that what should really impact our economy is our currency. We do not have our own currency. He therefore says, we must break away from the CFA franc to allow Senegal the possibility to positively impact its economy. Already, I tip my hat to the Senegalese president. I have always told you here, when it's good, we say it's good. Black. When it's not good, we say it's not good. We critique the objective of our criticisms. Moreover, it should be mentioned that these are objective criticisms. We criticize our various heads of state to allow for change to happen. And when it changes, when it starts to change, we say it too. We appreciate it very much. When it's good, we congratulate. So, hats off to Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye. So, the Senegalese president presents three options to break away from the CFA francs. Share the video conference. This video must be shared so that the presidents who continue to use the CFA franc and don't even dream of changing one day understand that the youngest African president, who has just come to power barely a year ago, having understood the workings, has decided to renounce from the CFA franc, while others continue to worship the CFA franc, considering the CFA franc as their god. Even the god Zeus was not worshipped as they worship this CFA franc, because it is the tool of domination of their master. So, the three options. The establishment of a common currency within ECOWAS is one of the solutions in the quest for monetary sovereignty. Joe Maifei touched on this part. He says, but here too, the process is too long, it's delayed. The common currency of ECOWAS. You know that ECOWAS has considered establishing a common currency called the ECO. Since we were babies in 1900, we've heard about this. It has never come to fruition. We've always been made to dream. They show us the specimens. It has never come to fruition. Guinea has its own currency. No matter what can be said about Guinea, we have our own currency. There you go. Let's go a little further. This is the first solution. Basiru Jomaifei also says, however, the process is very slow. This is what he lamented. It was yesterday, April 4th, 2025. What is the other alternative? He says, an alternative presents itself with the West African Economic and Monetary Union, WEMU. He says, but if that too is delayed, the process is too long at this level, it will delay. He says, if that too is delayed, we will move towards the third option. We will go out to mint our own currency. He dropped the word. We will go out to mint our own currency. He himself said it. So, Senegal will leave. ECOWAS, WEMU, to mint its own currency. Yes. But he is a strategist, the gentleman. He first mentions the institutions within which Senegal finds itself. Senegal should not leave, and then people ask why Senegal left. We are talking about international relations. We are talking about the actions of the state. So, before Senegal leaves, it is necessary to alert. We have the economic need to have our own currency, not the French one. If the sub-regional organizations in which we are involved delay in producing the common currency, we will be forced to leave and develop our own currency. Here is a logic that transcends logic itself. Yes, an impeccable logic. So, if in 6 months, 8 months, a year, Senegal announces that it will issue its own currency, there will be no problem. There you go. So, it's another way to put pressure on the other regional organizations. And since if ECOWAS must have its own currency, UEMOA must have its own currency, it means either it's ECOWAS or it's UEMOA. The currency will not be backed by international currencies, meaning no foreign power should guarantee this currency. And that's why it's taking time. Otherwise, what does it cost to issue the currency? We, President Sékou Touré, stood up and said, we will issue the currency. We have gold. How much do you have as a reserve? How much do you need as a reserve? We send our gold reserves. We deposit it. We issue our own currency. Yes. Then they say, no, the currency doesn't have enough value. We don't care about that. The essential thing is that we have our own currency. It allows us to preserve, to gradually build our country. And little by little, when the GDP increases, the currency will have value. Ah, yes. This is one of the reasons why I am a candidate in the upcoming presidential elections in the Republic of Guinea. Because in our societal project, we have strategies that allow Guinea to rise as quickly as possible, its GDP, and to rapidly increase the value of our national currency, which is the Guinean franc. The Guinean franc, there you go. So Bassirou Diakha Diomaye was very clear. He says this, and all the countries in the world have three main means to finance their economy: taxation, debt, currency. However, the CFA franc Senegal deprives itself of an essential instrument. Here is what he lamented. He continues, he says, we cannot just in 1 year tell ECOWAS that we wish to leave its currency, or UEMOA, that their procedure is not progressing, and immediately start a monetary process. He says, if it takes too long again, we will withdraw to have our own currency. Here it is. the warning that Jumaifeh sends to his sub-regional organizations. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was it. We are very pleased with the news. I ask you to share it as much as possible. Share it in all possible groups. Give it a lot of likes. I will get back to you shortly, by the grace of God, the Almighty, with new updates. That was the voice of your one and only Samurai.